Hi, everyone. I'm Camille Miller, the founder and executive director of the Natural Life Business Partnership, and you are joining us today on NLBP-tv. We are doing a member spotlight with Jo Ann Sweeney of
Guided Inner Balances.
Guided Inner Balances, and talking about the PSYCH-K experience. Thank you, Jo Ann, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry, I messed up your, I didn't write down your company name. And then,
No
then all of a sudden your logo went in my head and I'm like, oh.
No worries at all.
So I'm so interested in having you on today because when this interview, for those that are listening later, we started scheduling this in December or maybe October, I don't know, and it kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And during that time, I actually got certified through Jo Ann to be a facilitator myself. So I now know what it is, but I want Jo Ann to kind of tell us a little bit about PSYCH-K and your journey. I'll ask you individual questions, but your journey through it, how you got here. You have such an exciting story. And I remember, I'll just put this out there to start. I remember you were one of our first New Jersey members at NLBP, and you had just gone through your basic class.
Yes.
And this was 2016? 2016, I think.
Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah.
In 2016, and you were glowing, excited. You were in Clinton. I remember where it was, Clinton, New Jersey, and you're coming and you're telling me about this thing, and you're talking so fast.
I was the first one there, I think.
You were just so excited about this new way you were going, and here it is 3 years later, and you're an international instructor for the company, and just it's just amazing to see. So tell me a little bit. Let's start with what PSYCH-K is.
Okay.
Just so everyone is kind of on the same page of what it is, and then we'll talk a little bit about your journey.
So PSYCH-K is a body of work that allows you to change your self-limiting beliefs at the subconscious level in a matter of minutes. So it's a body of work that truly allows you to take the lead in your life and to have your hands on the steering wheel and create the life that you want on purpose instead of default programming from life situations and experiences that may have limited us and disallowed us to live the dreams and possibilities that we want for ourselves. So I, just as you had mentioned, I had attended a workshop 3.5 years ago, but maybe I should back up and just give you a little bit of, foundational journey information just to show you how I led, what led me to attending that workshop.
Yeah, well, I also want to mention that the work of PSYCH-K, and that is also the work of Rob Williams and Bruce Lipton, who people probably recognize the name Bruce Lipton before, and it's really scientifically based. When I explain it, you explained it way better than I would have. I'm always struggling with, is it science? Is it spiritual? And it's kind of that.
Yeah, it's both. It's absolutely both. Absolutely.
People are like, it's a little too woohoo, and I'm like, no, it's really based in science.
Yeah.
There's a lot of science there.
Absolutely. Yeah. The PSYCH-K actually is, the originator is Rob Williams. So he was the conduit of this information that came through almost 30 years ago. It's been on this planet for a long, long time. Bruce Lipton is how I heard of PSYCH-K. I actually listened to his book, Biology Belief, twice before hearing that information at the end of the, the audio program that I was listening to.
Mm-hmm.
But I am a rereader, and I, reread information all the time, and I've read hundreds and hundreds of books. And I can say with complete sincerity that when I heard PSYCH-K for that first time, probably about 4 years ago, something ignited inside of me. It was like every telomere in my body, all the cells livened up, and I was in the car, and I came home and I sat down to the computer, and I was just overwhelmed with such resonance with what I was seeing, what I was hearing. The testimonies, I just dove into as much information as I could on YouTube and Googled everything. Mm-hmm. And I wound up just a few months later attending a workshop that changed the complete trajectory of my life. So that's what you were describing early on, is I had just attended that workshop, and I was, just loving life and riding on the magic carpet. And, I had been introduced to your new then, I believe, business.
Yes.
And I came in as a facilitator. So attending a workshop does allow you to take on that role as a facilitator. And what that means is that you are then able to work with others with them after the workshop and help them enter into the experience and change process as well. So yes, fast forward after that, I became a preferred affiliate and started working remotely and in person with a lot of people. A year and a half after that initial workshop that I took, I was lucky enough to be chosen and became a certified PSYCH-K instructor. Rob Williams actually was the certifying agent back then. And I can say that there's no way that I could be here in this position had it not been for me changing my own beliefs and facing my own fears and my own limitations, self-imposed. That's the amazing thing is, that whole idea is that, we don't even realize that these are all self-imposed limitations. And when you realize that you have the tools in your hands, when for me, PSYCH-K, allowed me this process that I took my life back. I took my power back and I was able to, again, it's who I am as I continue to change these programs is, raising my consciousness. And in raising my consciousness, I'm able to experience things that I never dreamed of. So it's pretty exciting and rewarding. And I cannot imagine doing anything I love doing more. Before PSYCH-K, I was a hairstylist for 27 years and a massage therapist for 13. Those are both careers that I loved through and through, but I always had this perpetual longing that there was something missing. PSYCH-K is what was missing. I completely know wholeheartedly that this is my passion, my calling, and there's nothing that I would love doing more than teaching others the power within using this body of work that's changed my life.
Excellent. So have you, in taking your class that I was in, you told some phenomenal stories about, clients you've helped along, or, there was a story around 9/11 and that scared piece, just empowerment of women, or I guess anybody at that point. Is there any stories that you could share?
Oh my goodness, I could take up hours and hours of our time though.
Yeah.
The beauty of this, and if you want, I can share a little bit about, the 9/11, piece. There's a process within the PSYCH-K, field of information that allows you to transform your perception of stress. And utilizing that, anything could be a stressful situation. Certainly an experience of 9/11, it changes your life. It was a terrifying experience. And this one woman had reached out to me. Her sister had experienced PSYCH-K in Florida. She lived in New York, and she asked me if I thought that I could, help her change this, because she had been dealing with it for 16 years and living in a state of absolute terror. Yeah. And as with any, explanation, I said, well, it can't hurt to try, because built into every PSYCH-K process is a safety protocol. And what that safety protocol ensures is that no harm can come, so you have to establish communication, and you only move forward if it is safe and appropriate. So this woman drove 3.5 hours, for a PSYCH-K session. She herself, being a counselor and having gone all through the United States, seeking, to change her own perception, because she was terrified. She explained that she was wearing sneakers for 16 years, waiting to be able to, to run if a gunman or a bomb, were to go off. That was the heightened state of alarm. And she sat across from me here in my home office, and within a matter of minutes, and she said to me, you mentioned woo-woo early on, and her exact words were, she's looking at me and she's like, okay, Jo Ann, she said, I'm very left brain, I'm very logical, I'm very analytical. My husband's a neuropsychologist. Yeah. This all seems very woo-woo to me. And what I said to her, I said, well, listen, there's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why you drove 3.5 hours to be here. Let's just see what happens. Just remain open and curious. And literally right before me, in a matter of minutes, she looks at me and she says, what just happened? And I said, you tell me. It happened, within you. I got to witness it. And she said it literally felt as though, that state of fear and terror was surgically removed out of her body, and that she was instantly feeling that she could go right to ground zero. And that's a very, very traumatic event that in a matter of minutes, she was able to completely transform the perception. So I've witnessed people, whether it was abuse situations or, just traumatic situations or even fears or phobias of, going over a bridge or even just the situation that they're involved in. It could be stress with a partner or stress with a coworker. Anything can be transformed, in a few minutes when you can go whole brain around it and enter in a process that allows you to look at it from a completely different vantage point.
Excellent. That's a tremendous story. And I've seen it, I've experienced it myself going through the training. We have to work on each other. And I had one of those moments. It wasn't quite a 9/11 story, but it was something that continued. And when I went home, I kept saying, well, when I get back to my normal routine, let's see if it all goes back. And it never did. So I check in with myself once in a while just to be like, yeah, I'm still there. And if I worked on it, which you had explained also, when you work on it again or come back to it, you're working from a higher level. So you kind of like keep upscaling.
Yeah, you're leveling up. Yeah, you're leveling up.
Yeah, that's a great word.
Yeah, and I want to say, in the grand scheme of things too, I mean, this is my interpretation or experience, is that PSYCH-K allows you to raise your consciousness. Okay. And as you raise your consciousness, you're then attracting those things that you want and not, the things that you actually are experiencing from a lower vibration. In the law of attraction, again, we get more of what we think about. And when we're stuck in the stuff that we, don't want to be experiencing, and we feel that we're in that perpetual hamster wheel, doing the same thing, different day, same experience. And we're able to transform that and create a new level of consciousness and vibration. We're then attracting these new experiences into our life. And it really is. I mean, I still feel 3.5 years later that I have the genie, the lamp in my lap, and the
magic wand is what I call it.
Because it really does. It keeps getting better and better. It truly keeps getting better and better. And again, and it's not that contrast doesn't happen in life. Contrast, has to happen. It's the one thing that we can count on is change. But when we have, a way to be able to change our perceptions and to look at it from a different perspective, life really is magical, and we can step out into the world living completely different, versions of ourselves. And that's essentially, here I am. I mean, I had to face every fear to show up in front of Rob Williams and 15 other international instructors to become a certified instructor. Right. You're looking at a shy little girl. I was painfully shy when I was, young. And there was nothing more terrifying than to speak out loud or to read out loud. And this is what I do. Here I am meeting new people all over. I travel all up and down the East Coast and teach these workshops to others. And I'm the absolute opposite of, who I once was, because I'm able to, again, from a confident, platform, step out into the world and really tackle and live my dream.
Yeah. It's amazing, and it's amazing to watch how you've grown. Mm-hmm. From my point of view, from the day I met you, well, you still have the same passion, excitement though. Yeah. But your business itself has grown, and now you're this huge instructor with your own following. It's been really amazing to see. Yeah. You talk a lot about being whole-brained. Mm-hmm. Can you touch on that a little bit for people to understand? Because I think that's a good foundation of what PSYCH-K is as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whole brain is essentially being able to utilize both the left and right hemispheres simultaneously, so that you're able to have full response potential. So that you don't have, you have communication with both hemispheres. Mm-hmm. So life happens, and sometimes, we can take on, an experience where we over emotionalize and maybe we block the logical mind, so that we're running from that default program. This allows you to create, the full brain, whole brain state, so that you can, look at it from a different perspective.
Excellent. Very good. And for PSYCH-K facilitators like yourself, do they tend to specialize in a certain area, like business or health or, phobias or?
I'm sure some do. That was one of those things that, I wrestled with early on, because so many people that I had heard as far as a marketing strategy was to have a niche, right?
Yeah.
To really focus on whether it's relationships or self-esteem or, prosperity, to really create a niche for yourself so that you can then, work from that platform.
Yeah.
I have to say that, for me, because in my eyes, the sky's the limit with PSYCH-K. And what I came to realize is that PSYCH-K is my niche. And that I really do believe. And I work with people, from all walks of life, across the board, whether it is esteem issues or relationship issues or prosperity or transforming perception of stress. That for me, I don't limit, the exposure of what is possible, because I know everything is possible. But I'm sure that there are facilitators that specifically work with different categories, such as, self-esteem or depression or things like that.
Right.
But I welcome, again, and I've done a lot of, balance work myself around, attracting the right, clients, attracting the right participants, because I have to say, and you've experienced it too, and you actually were in the largest group, that I had taught, that was 24 people. So you were in that, that large group, but it truly is amazing, how many people, come in and show up ready to not only experience, but to witness and to embrace everybody else within the workshop.
Yeah.
So,
I was amazed at the cohesiveness of the people that showed up and how like-minded they were. Cause I sometimes feel like I'm the woo-hoo, but it was amazing. And they came from everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Now, my first 2 classes I took in New Jersey, right by you, and people flew in. People drove from halfway across the country. It was really amazing.
Yeah.
To see what that did. And now this weekend I'm doing another one in New York, and I'm sure people are flying in from all over for that one. Even the instructors are. So.
Yeah. No, it is. It truly is amazing.
Amazing group of people.
Yeah.
So, anything I forgot to mention or that you want to add about either yourself or PSYCH-K that you'd like others to know that are watching this later on?
I think we pretty much, covered it. Again, I mean, essentially anybody that's interested in changing an aspect of their life, that would like to have their life be or see it differently, PSYCH-K is definitely, worth looking into. Again, there's a wealth of information online. I am located in Milford, New Jersey, just as Camille had mentioned. I do work remotely as well. I work with people all over the world. That's a beautiful thing of technology. Having Skype or Zoom or FaceTime allows us to connect, as long as we're on the same, time zone, and we know, what that is. But yeah, and I do teach workshops locally here in New Jersey, as well as, I'm traveling to Connecticut, Pittsburgh, Cape Cod, Ontario, on and on and on. I'm actually booked as far as workshops through the end of, this year, and I'm already booking early of next year. So I truly am living my dream, and I just retired, from a 27-year career this past December, to launch full-time, into this. And I have to say that not a second, not an iota of time have I doubted, my decision and my path. But again, I'm utilizing this work in my life to be able to keep expanding, and keep evolving and keep growing personally. And that's when I can really attest to my own shift and the shift that you're talking about, witnessing. From having just taken that workshop to be here communicating with you as one of the 36 worldwide instructors teaching this body of work. That's something I never dreamed of being. But again, had I not, taken, to this body of work and continued to work with myself, I wouldn't be sitting here, doing this interview with you as an instructor. And again, it truly is. I'm blessed, and humbled because I get to meet the most wonderful people and see the shifts within them. And it really does, the beauty of PSYCH-K really encompasses, we are all one. And, as we're holding space for each other, we're witnessing the growth of others, and we are growing as well. So it is a sacred space, and it's a beautiful, beautiful sharing. I've never experienced anything like it. I just taught in Quincy, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston, my 21st workshop. They really are the most beautiful 3 days of collaboration, sharing, and holding space for one another. So yeah, it is. It's a beautiful experience.
You come out energized.
Yeah.
The first one I came out exhausted, but then the second one I came out energized. So the best way for people to get in touch with you, if they're listening to this later on and they're saying, wow, I would love a balance from Jo Ann, or to take one of her workshops.
Yeah, so my website is www.innerbalances.com, and you can email me directly at joanne@innerbalances.com. And also too, if they're interested in looking at the PSYCH-K.com website, there are, workshops that are posted all over the world. If you type in, the state that you're in, those workshops will come up. And again, like I mentioned, not only do I teach locally, but I teach all over the world. But if you're in a state that I'm not in, perhaps there'll be another instructor that's teaching a workshop nearby you. So certainly reach out and, let me know if I could help you live the life of your dreams.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us today. We will also put that information in our show notes, so you can look below and get that information from Jo Ann and PSYCH-K yourselves. Thank you, Jo Ann, so much for joining us today and being a part and explaining your PSYCH-K work and experience. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Camille. I appreciate you too.